Good morning, Mario.
Okie dokie.
Good morning, Mario. And good morning, Switch fans. We've made it through another week. And if you missed yesterday's episode, well, I missed it too. My internet was acting up, so there wasn't a GMM, but that's okay. Today we got a plethora of stories to discuss, including Nintendo's 2021 lineup. They've finally spoken on all those empty months, and we've got to assess their comments, plus a really juicy rumor on a new Resident Evil Switch exclusive. The game sounds pretty freaking amazing. I am pumped, and the eShop starting to pump out some titles, some good ones I want to highlight for you, plus a feel-good story. It's Friday. We all deserve to enter the weekend happy, and this guy, he got really happy from GameStop stocks, and then he paid it back to Nintendo fans, so it's just a real nice nugget. But what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Smash that like button if you enjoy the show, and let me know in the comments down below what you're playing this weekend. Let's dig into this rumor from Dusk Golem, who's a very reliable Capcom leaker. He's gotten a lot right over the years, and he can be trusted. Well, they've talked about a new Resident Evil Revelations game. If you haven't played 1 or 2, they're actually quite enjoyable, and they're both on Switch, usually pretty cheap, but Revelations 3 is supposed to be a Switch title for 2022, so we're a bit of a ways out, but this got me really excited because Dusk Golem says that this game is much bigger than Revelations 1 or 2, and he doesn't know if it's going to be called Revelations 3. There's a code name attached to it that is Outrage, and he says this game's been in development for 4 years. 4 years, you can do a lot of damage. And he says the game is quite long and much bigger than the past entries, so I'm very eager to see how they build this and how they build this. Could it be one of the tentpole third-party titles for Nintendo Switch in 2022? I mean, I know that's a year away, but you gotta think, if the Switch Pro is reality by that point, and if we're playing in 4K, and then there's a Switch exclusive RE, I mean, I'm super psyched for Village. I know there's a lot of Tall Vampire Lady fans out there. I wish that game was hitting Switch. It's not, but I'll take an exclusive. We haven't gotten a big exclusive from a third party like this in a while. I mean, I love Mario plus Rabbids when the system first launched, and I'm so glad that we get games like Doom Eternal and The Outer Worlds, but I'd love to see Switch exclusive games. And typically they've done a great job this generation of making the Nintendo exclusive just a good game on its own right. If you remember back in like the Wii and the Wii U era, we get some Nintendo exclusive versions or exclusive titles from major publishers, and they just be watered down sucky versions of popular franchises. But Resident Evil Outrage or Resident Evil Revelations 3, whatever title they end up going with, this game doesn't sound reduced at all. In fact, they say it has a much bigger budget than either Rev 1 or Rev 2, which has me super psyched, because if they're tailoring this game specific to Switch, I think they can do some really cool things, whether they incorporate interesting multiplayer or they just use the Switch and its features in cool ways. The Revelations franchise, it feels more old school. It feels more true to Resident Evil as opposed to the first-person direction they're pushing with Village, and I think a lot of fans will like this. So I'm really eager to see where this goes, and hopefully we get to play it in 2022. Let me know in the comments if you guys are pumped for a new Resident Evil Switch exclusive. Earlier in the week, Nintendo released their financial report, and it's phenomenal as we discussed. Insane sales on the hardware and software side. But today they released their Q&A, and oftentimes this is really intriguing because it's where investors get to poke and prod and say, Nintendo, what are you planning? So of course they asked, hey, what's going on with 2021? Because you got barely anything announced past the first few months. They've got Bowser's Fury, Monster Hunter Rise, Pokemon Snap, and then what? Well, they asked Furukawa just that, and he said, fear not, we will discuss software titles for the next fiscal year at the appropriate time, and we're prepping a variety of new games for the coming fiscal year. Now, he wouldn't dive into details, but in case you were worried that Nintendo would just sit it out, they will not. Now, this, of course, is typical company speak, but I think the frustrating thing right now for fans isn't that we don't know the specific titles, like nobody really wants that spoiled, but we don't even know the way in which we'll find out about them, you know? Like we don't have the forum, we don't know the framework, they're not doing a regular direct schedule anymore, so where will they announce these games? We're not even sure about an E3, PAX is all pushed around. What is going on? The world is not in its normal routine, and so We're not sure. You might just wake up one day and see the announcement on Twitter, and even though that's exciting, I think it's a little anxiety inducing just because our brains aren't really used to this randomness, and it would be nice if Nintendo would just say, hey, we're bringing a general soon, or hey, we got a Pokemon presentation planned. Like, give us those details so we can at least feel a little calmer. I don't know when the next Direct is, except to say I expect them to have something around the E3 season in June. But what I can tell you is I believe we will get a Pokemon Day presentation this year. We've had it happen in the past, and they're prepping for that 25th anniversary. So when Furukawa says more titles are coming, he's not joking. There's probably a lot planned for Pokemon besides Snap. And we do know that the Diamond and Pearl remake rumors, those are really spicy. And then you got the Zelda 30th anniversary. And I cannot imagine Nintendo sitting that out either. The anniversary falls very, very soon. In fact, in just a couple of weeks. But I think that they'll save that till March. You got Bowser's Fury, you got Pokemon. March feels like the right time. So we might be waiting a bit before we hear about the rest of their lineup. And obviously Nintendo doesn't want to tip their hand, but people in the know seem to think that we are going to be getting Breath of the Wild 2 this year, and that it most likely will release alongside the Nintendo Switch Pro, or Plus, or Super Switch, or new Nintendo Switch, whatever they call it. When asked about the Switch Pro or a new Switch in general, Furukawa said, hey, right now we're focusing on the Mario bundle, the Monster Hunter Rise bundle, and we don't have any announcement planned at this time. Earlier in the week, it seemed like the answer was, hey, we're focusing on these bundles, we don't have anything to announce yet. But when you get the full translation, it reads more like, hey, the Switch is selling incredibly well, we've got these bundles coming up soon, so we don't have anything to announce. I still think they are going to announce something because he did not completely rule it out. Back in 2020, he said there will be no new model announced in 2020, and after that call, there was no new model announced. He won't say no, he just says no announcement to make because it's selling well and because we have these bundles to sell. And of course, they don't want to tip their hand, just like with the games lineup. In no way could they sabotage their current Switch tsunami. So for that, you'll have to wait till the summer as well, or maybe it'll get pushed beyond. There could be delays or hiccups or any number of factors, but at least right now you can rest assured that you are safe with your current Switch and you can grab the Mario or Monster Hunter bundles if you want. There will be no Switch Pro in the coming months, in the soon months, in the first half of the year. I still feel like September is the launch date, but we'll have to wait and see. But even though the first party plan is not particularly clear, the eShop is really revving up. And I want to draw your attention to a few games that I think are looking pretty freaking fun. I've just started to play them. I'll be bringing deeper coverage later, but we got Blue Fire, which finally came out after being featured in an indie world mid-2020. This is like a 3D platformer with a little bit of Zelda, a little bit of Hollow Knight, and a lot of fast-paced action. It runs 30, which was cause for a little concern, but the reviews are quite glowing, and it does seem like a really good time. And then we've got Nuts, which also dropped this week. I've mentioned it before. It's a very intriguing looking game about recording squirrels. It's got a super unique art style, and you're trying to capture the madness, the magic, and the mystery of what these fuzzy creatures are up to when you're not looking. That one seems like a fun, quick romp. And then there's also Undermine, which kind of crept up out of nowhere. It drops next week. I just got code, and this is a roguelike that reminds me a lot of Enter the Gungeon, which is a great thing. There's plenty of meta, and you're upgrading your overall arsenal and your character all the time after every run. It exchanges bullets and guns for pickaxes and mining canaries. I'm gonna need to play more to see if this is really one that I'll stick with, but it seems promising, and it's definitely something to keep on your eShop radar. And let's close the week out with Hunter Khan. Now you might say, who is Hunter? Well, I say he is a hero. I love to see this stuff. The world can be dark and bad people do bad things, but this is a really good story. So Hunter made a ton of money, like $30,000 off of the GameStop stock festival fiasco, depends how you look at it, but the thing where a bunch of people on Reddit and Wall Street Bets really took advantage of GameStop stock and made a bunch of money, or at least took a bunch of money away from some big hedge funds. Well, Hunter, he profited a ton, but he didn't just pocket it. He's 20 years old, and he took a bunch of that money and went and bought Switch lights and games to donate to a local children's hospital, delivering Nintendo glory to a bunch of Minnesota children, which I think is just amazing. And it reminds you that there still are such good people. The dude's only 20. He made a ton of money, $30,000. That's like a windfall for someone that age. I mean, it's a windfall for anybody. And instead of just going and blowing in on something he wanted, he spent a good chunk of the first bits of his money on helping others. And so I think it's important to remember that there's almost always someone less fortunate than you. So if there's any way you can do even a little to help out, it can really go a long way. And it doesn't have to be money. It could just be a nice comment or a simple gesture, going out of your way for somebody. That really can have a trickle effect and change somebody's life. You'd be surprised what one good compliment can actually do in today's world. So go out there and be the awesome people I know you can be. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed another week of Good Morning Mario. We got Bowser's Fury dropping down next week. Cannot wait to play and share all of that with you, plus more impressions on these indie titles. And who knows, Nintendo always could come out of nowhere with a big Twitter drop. So hit that like button if you had fun and enjoyed the show. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of today's stories and what you're playing this weekend. And until next time, everybody, have a fantastic day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay smart out there. I'll see y'all on Monday. Until then, SwitchForce out.